Thank you so much, and great to be with all of you. Thank you to all of the organizers of this conference. It takes so much to put something like this together and to spread the word and to it's just a lot of love, a lot of passion, a lot of heart, and I thank all of you for it and all the participants. I believe that curiosity is one of the most powerful forces in the universe. And your curiosity to learn more about food, about health, about how to make a difference with your life, about how to contribute to a healthy future, all of this is so profoundly important. So thank you for being here. There's an old saying that in the world to come, the learners will inherit the earth, while the learned find themselves exquisitely prepared for a world that no longer exists. It's my belief that our curiosity, our hunger to discover is essential. And as technology changes the world faster and faster, as the spread of knowledge and information grows all around the world, we have to be in a state of constant learning because the world is changing so rapidly in all kinds of ways, some of them desirable, some of them maybe not so desirable, but it's changing. And so we have a need in this world to be up to date as best we can about what's going on and how we affect it. I'm just tweaking my microphone because it seems like I'm on the wrong mic, and you will hear me better when I'm on the right one. Let's see if I can get this. There we go. Okay, sorry about that, everybody. Technical difficulties. I think I'm on the right one now. Okay, so I'm just thrilled to be here myself, to have the opportunity to speak with all of you, because I'm kind of passionate about food. Some of you know this. I'm co-founder and CEO of Food Revolution Network. We've been talking about food my entire life. My dad is John Robbins, who wrote a book called Diet for New America that came out in 1987. It's inspired millions of people to look at their food choices as a chance to make a difference in the world. And so some would say he's kind of one of the founders of the modern food revolutionary movement. I grew up in a home where we obsessed about food in a mostly wonderful way all the time. I learned about factory farms when I was 5 years old. I learned about blood sugar and how added sugars impacted, the liver and obesity rates when I was probably 6 or 7. And I ran my first marathon when I was 10. We were very active, and I grew up loving to eat. I grew up eating wild berries and lots of kale that we grew in the garden. And so my whole life, I've been exploring what is food, what does it mean to our lives, and what does it mean to our world? And for those of you who don't know a little bit of the backstory, my grandpa founded an ice cream company back in the 1940s. And it was a successful company. And my dad, John, was groomed to one day join in running it. And then when he was in his early 20s, he was offered that chance. And he said no. And he walked away from a path of significant success and financial security to follow his own path, and ended up moving with my mom to a little island off the coast of Canada, where they built a one-room log cabin and grew most of their own food and practiced yoga and meditation for several hours a day, and named their kid Ocean. And they almost named me Kale. So that's a little bit of the backstory. They didn't name me Kale, but we did eat a lot of kale and other veggies from the garden. And I'm real happy that they chose Ocean, which was a more conservative name, if you think about it. But as the years went by, my dad went on to become a best-selling author, writing about food and health. And one of his readers ended up being my grandpa Irv, who ended up reading my dad's books because his life was on the line, and crediting my dad's work with saving his life. My grandpa was given a copy of my dad's book, Diet for New America, by his doctor when he had serious diabetes and heart disease issues. They told him he didn't have long to live unless he made big changes. And my grandpa read the book and followed its advice and cut way down on his meat and dairy consumption, gave up sugar, gave up ice cream, started eating a lot more whole fruits and vegetables and whole plant foods. And he reversed his diabetes, he reversed his heart disease, and his golf game improved 7 strokes. He lived 19 more healthy years. And so, I'm so grateful that we've gotten to see in our family how powerful food can be to hurt us or to heal us. And I'm grateful for my dad's legacy and example, and that I get to build on that in my life. My grandpa and his brother-in-law, Bert Baskin, were pretty good at selling ice cream, by the way. Baskin Robbins went on to become the world's largest ice cream company. And in the 1950s, my grandpa and his team came up with one of the most iconic advertising slogans in history. It was, "We make people happy." And there's no doubt about it, ice cream's brought a lot of smiles to a lot of people's faces. But I think we're learning today that there's more happiness to be found in health than in sickness. I think we're learning today that short-term pleasure can be delightful, but deep pleasure comes from vitality and wellness. There's an old saying that a person with their health has 1,000 dreams. A person without it has just one dream, which is to get it back. If you don't have your health, then getting just surviving sometimes can feel like the only game in town. Getting out of pain, feeling okay again in your body. And so my perspective is that, an ice cream cone is not going to kill anyone, but I'm so grateful that I get to now run a new family business, advocating for a healthy, ethical, and sustainable food for all with Food Revolution Network and our more than 700,000 members, because we get to help people to enjoy the real foundations of happiness, which is a healthy body and a healthy life. One of the profound realities of our times, I think, is that what we eat doesn't just impact us. Food is not just a commodity, it's also a community. It's a web of relationships. And when you align your food choices with what you most want, not just for your own health, but also for your world, then something powerful unfolds. Your life can have more vibrancy and more dynamism. It can feel really good to know you're part of the solution. And I want to outline for a moment some of what we're up against as a species right now. And then I'm going to tell you how powerful our food can be to make a difference on that. So first, here's some of the really intense news we're facing. Let's talk about climate chaos for a second, okay? Some of you have probably heard this before, but I'll be honest, it's hard to take in. And a lot of us, we hear there's a lot of bad news over there, but let's talk about what we know, okay? So Earth's temperature has risen about 1.4 degrees since 1880. About 2/3 of that warming has occurred in the last 50 years since I was born. So what's causing this rise in temperature? Well, honestly, we are. If we don't collectively start making some big changes, scientists predict the path we're on is going to have dire consequences for all life on Earth. The primary greenhouse gases are carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide, and they get trapped in the atmosphere and they prevent heat from leaving our planet, which causes the planet to overheat. But it doesn't just cause overheating, it causes chaos and rapid change. Storms are becoming more powerful, more frequent, and more unpredictable. Agricultural patterns are being overturned with massive droughts in some places, floods in others, and more crop failures. Insect populations are plummeting, which threatens entire ecosystems with collapse. Without pollinators, crops will fail. And other crops, including key global staples, are now threatened by pests that move along with warmer temperatures. As the polar ice caps melt, coastal communities, including entire nations, are being threatened by rising ocean levels and by saltwater encroachment that's rendering their wells and their groundwater unusable as well. So in short, sea levels are rising, ecosystems are being destroyed, species are going extinct, and the truth is, if we don't change our course, we may look back at the 2020s as the good old days. Because according to most recent United Nations Commission scientific reports by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, we've lost the chance to reverse a lot of this overheating. There are no foreseeable circumstances that scientists can assess that we will be able to prevent the planet's average temperature from rising another 2.7 degrees Fahrenheit in the next 30 years. The pollution blanket that our industrial and agricultural sectors and our lifestyles have woven is likely here to stay for decades, even if we were to miraculously stop polluting tomorrow. So scientists are now projecting there could be more than 1.4 billion, with a B, environmental refugees by 2060. That means people unable to grow food, unable to live ecosystems and cities flooded, they move, other places get overpopulated, overrun with those same refugees. So this is what we're facing, which could cause irreversible changes for centuries to millennia to come. And this is now considered by 95 to 99% of scientists to be unequivocal. So that's the bad news. And it's obviously pretty serious, right? We've been growing more than enough food for humanity for my entire life. That's not really the case anymore. Because of droughts, because of floods, because of desertification, because of topsoil erosion, we're now facing a situation where, and also the war in Ukraine and Russia situation has made it more unstable since they grow a lot of the grain in Europe. We're now facing a situation where there's barely enough calories growing to feed 8 billion humans. So that's pretty serious, right? And it could get a lot worse. The problems can be daunting. It can be easy to feel not so much like a drop in the bucket, but more like a drop in a vast and tumultuous sea. So do we have to throw up our hands and so hope that some miraculous technology will save us, or that the world's energy companies will just one day miraculously decide to stop drilling for oil? Well, here's the good news. There is one thing we can do that can have a serious impact on climate change, like serious, and it's the food that we eat. By changing what we eat, we can literally change the course of the entire world. You may have heard that carpooling and buying more efficient vehicles is good for the planet. Maybe you've participated in a bike to work day or dreamed of getting an electric car so you can do your part. Did you know that agriculture, and specifically the breeding and the raising of animals for food, contributes more to global warming than all of the transportation sector, all of the cars and trucks and ships and trains and everything combined?